So I'm going to be behind the camera for a moment. I technically say behind the camera because I'm behind it. Might look like I'm in front of it, but I'm behind it. I'm doing something different today. Whereas, I like to do videos based on doing things, activities, and crafts and things like that. I'm actually just going to do a video today about the history of witches, witchcraft, and paganism. I wrote in my book, let's see if I can show you this, my book. My husband got this for me for Christmas, and I spilled oil all over it. You can see it. So I'm going to be reading from my book today. So the history and folklore. Who was the first person ever executed for being a witch? That was Bridget Bishop, and that was June 10th, 1692. The community claimed she was a witch because of the way she dressed, her going to the pubs and drinking with the men. She was very promiscuous, and she ended up with 3 husbands. Her first baby died soon after birth, and that is originally why they considered her to be a witch, because that was unnatural. Back in that time, you would think that it's not that unnatural, but it happened. Then a child in the community that she was taking care of, I guess kind of like a babysitting thing, the child got sick, and they forced her to come back and make the child better, because they believed that she was the one who made the child get sick. And when she got back, the child started getting better, and therefore they just automatically assumed that she made a pact with the devil, and they tortured her until she actually admitted, if you want to say that, that she made a pact with the devil and made the child get better. Of course, you'll say anything when you're tortured. I mean, back then, when they tortured you, they beat you up, they burned your face, they pulled your fingernails off, they, it's just brutal stuff that they did back then. She was sentenced to death by beheading, so they chopped her head off. Let's see. The Witchcraft Act 1735, 1542, and in the U.S. 1604 were all laws passed to stop the hunting and the executing of witches. In 1986, Wicca was recognized as an official religion. So that means that you can now practice your rituals and things like that, and it's a recognized religion. So when you say that you don't want something for religious beliefs, that goes along with it. It is a religion. The first recorded Wicca book that was written was by Gerald Gardner in 1954. That was not when Wicca started. Wicca predates Christianity. I think most people know this. I feel like organized religion, it's a trap. Organized religion is just a trap. It's all about controlling others and making them conform. Let's see. Hey, baby. So, they consider Wicca to be an accepted religion. However, it's not like Christianity at all, or being a Muslim or a Buddhist or anything like that. You don't have a certain way that you have to act, or a certain thing you have to believe, a certain ritual you have to practice. So it's completely customizable to you, your beliefs, and being a Wiccan or a witch, you can still believe in Christian ways too, or Muslim ways, or anything else. I just like the fluidity of this religion. That's why I chose it, and this is why I talk about it. I teach it. Witches were accused because the Roman Catholic Church taught the dangers of witchcraft. You would be considered a witch if crops did better than others back in the day. You would be considered a witch if you made more money than anybody else. If you had moles on your body, specific moles, they looked at that as the devil's mark. If your child has seizures, then they were automatically deemed as possessed by the devil. This is why you have all these, exorcism of Emily Rose and all this other stuff. They wanted to say, oh, well, she was, I don't know that specific one, I can't remember, but there are so many cases where they would try to exorcise the demon out of the child, but it wasn't a demon in the first place. It was literally a bad seizure disorder, and it messed with them. And eventually the seizures just killed the child because, they didn't have medications for it back then, and they didn't even know what a seizure was back then. Epilepsy wasn't a known diagnosis. You would be considered a witch by the way you present yourself. Say, me personally, it'd be the way I'm obsessed with herbs, and that I teach herbal remedies. If I can heal people with plants, I would be considered a witch for that. Back in the day, I would have been sentenced to death for that, for helping people, for being a midwife and being at births. You are there, and they looked at that as a bad thing. Anything where I talk about nature, where I worship nature and love nature and want to respect it. I look at the seasons and I'm in line with the seasons. That would be considered a witch to the Christians back in the day. Some of them now. It ain't really changed a whole lot. So that is what I have about the history of the Wiccan religion. And I am actually really glad that they have laws for it now, and that it has been accepted into a religion that is acknowledged. While I don't really feel like any organized religion is a good thing, I believe you should believe in whatever you want to believe in, and you should have the right to do that. And thank goodness we have the Constitution in the United States, where you have the right to believe and practice in whichever or whatever you want to practice. So I'm really glad about that, because it does help me with our homeschooling and health freedom. So that is where I'm at right now, and I appreciate you watching the video.